CEO of She Transacts, and we're here with Luann Abrams. She's CEO of CEOX, and she's going to be sharing with us and our community of investors a little more information about why she started CEOX.
Hi, it's great to be here. Well, I started CEOX because of my time in venture. I was investing as an LP in venture. I ran a small accelerator, raised a small fund, and deployed that. So got to see how venture worked up close and personal. And one of the things I started to notice it was not uncommon for founding CEOs to be replaced through the growth cycle of these companies. And typically it's just not all founders have a growth and scale skill set, right? And of course that's what's needed if the venture fund is going to make money off of their investments, that high growth, right? And unfortunately I started to notice that every time this happened, it was a man who was given that CEO role, and it really hit home. One year when I was sitting at an annual meeting, they announced the new CEO of a women's healthcare platform for tracking your fertility. And sure enough, they put a man in that role. And I thought, okay, something is broken here if this is happening and continuing to happen. And so I started to dig in. And what I found is that, particularly at the small and mid-sized venture funds, they don't have a lot of extra money to pay for an executive recruiter. They don't necessarily have anybody in-house that is a talent recruiter. And so they're just going into their networks to find the next CEO, right? And with most investors still being men, their networks aren't gender balanced, and they end up finding people that look like them, think like them, act like them for these roles. And clearly, very capable, amazing women are being overlooked, which it's a problem for them personally, but really it's a problem for the venture fund because women-led companies are shown to grow faster, generate more revenue, use invested dollars to better effect. And my favorite statistic, have happier employees. So there's a real economic reason that venture funds should be ensuring that they have more diversity in their leadership of their portfolio companies. So CEOX is essentially a database of CEO-ready women recommended and referred to us by successful senior leaders.
Such a valuable resource because definitely there's a need for it. And you mentioned, having diversity, not just male and women and all the different male, female, but diversity. How has that really become an important element for investors and their portfolio?
It's really a myth that diversity only benefits the diverse person that comes on board. It really benefits the company as a whole. And the bottom line is you're now designing your product, whatever that product may be, with the input from numerous people, and you're solving problems that affect not just 50% of the population, but now all of the population, right? It's also really important if you're planning to go global at some point. Yes. Now, that's just going to make it so much easier to grow if you have already considered different cultures in the design of your product. It's much more likely to be well received. And so the bottom line then is you're going to make more money if you have it. And all the data shows that and supports that.
Describe a little bit about the diversification of risk and mitigating risk. What are some of the ways that you're able to help investors and funds do that with CEOX?
Yeah, so we are able to, we can help in various ways. So we're here to find diverse talent for when they need to bring on a new CEO. And sometimes that tends to be an emergency situation, hopefully not, and they've planned ahead. We're here to help that the portfolio companies find that independent board member. And again, bringing in that diverse thought, that's a great opportunity. We can help with other C-suite roles. And the beauty of CEOX is that the women that we place, because we have these established relationships with them and we have all this programming that goes around, we're here to support them once they're in these roles, because we want nothing more than for them to be successful. And so that's really a key aspect of what we're doing, and you know, eliminating risk. It's like we're here to support them as well, and put them in contact with their peers who can help them navigate through the really challenging times of being a CEO at a startup company.
That's great. Now, in terms of the signs, if I'm a portfolio company or I'm running a fund or I'm an investor, what are some of the signs that I should be on the lookout for?
Probably the biggest is burnout in a CEO, right? And hopefully that's something you can catch early on and mitigate and help provide support, and so that you don't get to a point where you need to replace a CEO.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of ways a fund can support a CEO, even if they don't necessarily have all those growth and scale skills, but surrounding them with people that can help them through.
Yeah.
Because, nobody wants to replace a CEO. So hopefully, if you're doing it right, you can help them through that. But I would say definitely being aware of burnout. We all know that being a CEO is a lonely, lonely job. And in the startup world, it's just so intense. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And so supporting them through that. And, one of the things that we do, we always invite the female CEOs of portfolio companies and just the leadership to attend our programming, in the hope that it's supportive, whether we place that person or not. It doesn't really matter. They're welcome to come and join, and we have some very successful roundtables that are private and curated, where these women come together and discuss the challenges that they're having over the course of a year. They meet monthly. So those are just some of the things that we do to support the women, and some of the things that these firms can be doing to help their CEOs be successful.
That's amazing. And to be able to provide that to everyone, that's something right now they can access, start engaging, getting familiar with the quality of the information and the approach is great for all the investors and funds to be aware of and to connect with you even now. They've got companies right now, portfolios right now that could benefit from that. And it's always better to be proactive and mitigate against that risk early. And then when there is a need, like you said, if it's a more emergency type situation, it's nice to know you could step in there as well. So hopefully we have it be proactive, but if not, you guys have a solution on both ends. I love that.
Yeah. And we do like to, if we partner with a VC, we'll provide curated introductions. So, if you're investing in AI, we will introduce you ahead of time to our experts in AI, so you can establish these relationships before you ever need to replace the CEO or before you need to fill a board seat. Like, you now have an established relationship, and it's not just a fire drill.
Yeah, that's so important. Having access to the information, being able to have a trusted source, the fact that you're vetting and you really have long-standing relationships just ensures also that peace of mind and an assurance when you're bringing someone on. So one other thing that I wanted to bring up before we end today is, why do you feel it's so important to have embodied leaders in the world? Why all this training and education? If they're getting the job done, so to speak, why is that important right now?
Well, we've really grown up in a society that has been created by and for men's success. And so, and part of that is that we because of that, we have valued really the criteria that makes a great leader. And I think I've talked about, we tend to fall for charisma and charm and confidence, and those are not signs of leaders. So really, I think a big part of my job is retraining people, society to identify true leadership skills. And
Mm.
so that we can bring those people that have those up into leadership positions, because that's where we as a whole really start to thrive. And it's not necessarily men or women. For me, it's really about what are true leadership skills.
Yeah.
It just happens that women naturally have a lot of them, which is great. But of course, men can develop and have them as well. But we have exalted the wrong ones in our
Mhm.
society. So for me, it's really about re-educating and making people aware of what really makes companies successful, what really makes leaders successful, because then we all benefit, not just economically, but societally.
And let investors know the reason OKRs and KPIs and ESGs, we're doing all this not just,
Yep.
to have a fun dashboard, but we're doing
Yep.
this to really make sure that there's a holistic approach to embodied leaders and giving you above and beyond a great return on your investment, a long-term impact in society. So this is right in line with everything we try to cultivate, why we brought you in as a vetted expert, because you believe in what we believe here, and that's just better for investors and their bottom line as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just thrilled that we connected and have the opportunity to help out.
We look forward to connecting you with a lot more matches in our system, whether it's experts, CEOs, founders, and investors. What's so great about what we're doing is we can all have our individual superpowers and still make sure we connect everybody at the right moment in time. So thank you, Luann, for taking the time and introducing yourself to our community and making them familiar about all the exciting things that you're doing at CEOX to change the world.
Thank you.